Okay, it's 3 o'clock, so I'll get started. So this is the last day of the R crash course, and today we're not going to do anything that you'll need for the general research skills course. You can of course work on the previous assignments and ask for help with that. But the assignment of today is really supposed to be like a challenge. You have to fix it by looking it up. I will give you some small examples of how you can look things up, but mostly it's just trial and error. Okay, so how it works, there's a folder, let me start here. I've been using this website so far, but I haven't had the time to complete it yet. So today's exercise I uploaded to Brightspace on the General Research Skills Brightspace. So it says under the R Crash Course folder, Day 5 Challenges. Now this is a zip file, so you have to download it, and then you have to make sure that you unzip the file, so that you unpack it. On Mac, I think this is done automatically if I remember correctly. On Windows, it's important you don't open the file while it's still zipped, because it will look normal and everything will seem fine until you start to try and save or read data, and then suddenly there will be inexplicable errors. Okay, so if you've already opened it, then you will have this minus the solutions. There's two things in here that's important. There's the RMD file called Extra Programming Assignment, which is the actual challenge. I'll wait for my 4-year-old laptop to show it. And there's a folder here called Tomatoes. Now, it's important that you have this exercise and the folder Tomatoes in the same location, because then it's easy to find all these data files, because you can simply go to Tools, Session, Set Working Directory to Source File Location, which is what we use normally to tell R where to read files. Yeah, so if I do this, then anything we do from now on will search in the current folder, which is the Extra Programming Assignments folder. Now, there's two challenges. I think the second one is the easier one and the first one is the harder one. But you can try either of them, or both. The first one requires you to write a function. Now, we haven't written any functions yet, so you can do the swirl chapter on functions first, if you want to get an easy introduction into what functions are and how you can write them. Essentially, we're going to write a function that can take as input the names of packages, and as a result, we'll check if those packages are installed, and only if they aren't, it will try to install them, and otherwise it will just try to load them. Now, why is this useful? Because usually you will be working together in science. Almost nobody publishes alone in biology. So that means that there's a lot of people working with the same analysis, the same data, maybe your supervisor if you're still a student. So it's useful if you send a script to someone that they can easily get all the packages that they need to run your script. Now, I wrote this a couple of years ago when our studio was a bit older, and back then there was no function that says these packages are missing, do you want to install them? So back then, if you had packages that needed to be installed, you had to tell the names of those packages, you had to manually install them. But now, if you have missing packages, like let me try something out, like maybe over here. I'm going to try one that doesn't exist, just so I'm sure that it will say, hey, you're missing it. Okay, this one I don't have. Maybe I didn't update our studio. Okay, so this is this is the old version of our studio. If you have the new version and you say require or library in the script and you save it, then there will be a yellow bar over here that says, hey, you're missing these packages, do you want to install them? Which is really convenient. But sometimes when you use packages, they have been written by someone that hasn't published them yet to CRAN, so the Comprehensive R Archive Network, which is where most packages are stored. But if you're just still working on it, you're a little shy or something, you don't want to upload it yet, a lot of people will have their code on GitHub. And you can install packages from GitHub, but it works a little bit different, and sometimes installing the dependencies is difficult. So in that case, it's way easier if you just write someone a script, hey, you need these packages, this is how you should install them. So that's the first one. There's some explanation on how to do it, but mostly you just have to figure it out on your own and Google it. And the other one is something that actually happens a lot. It's where you have to deal with multiple data files and you want to combine them. So in this example, suppose that there is a machine that at the end of the day or at the end of a measurement, it will output a comma-separated values file, so a simple file that stores data. But let's say that you're doing these measurements a lot of times, right? So I didn't put 1,000 data files in the zip file because then it would take forever to download. But for the sake of argument, let's say you have this thing running for 3 years or something, and you want to combine all your data files. Now, you could do something like this, right? You could read the first data set, put it into a variable, read the second data set, put it into a variable, and then use rbind, so like this. And that works. It reads the first one, stores it, reads the second one, and then row bind will nicely put them underneath each other. It works. But if you have 1,000 files and you have to copy paste this 1,000 times, that's a little inefficient and it's very error prone. You may have the same data file in there twice, or you may have missed the number. So it's way better to write a for loop that does it, or a function that does it. So that's the second one. You have to write a for loop that will read all these data files and put them into a single data frame. And there's a short description of how for loops work. If you think these are both easy, I don't think many people find these easy, but if you think they're easy, you can speed it up by using apply instead of a for loop. Apply is a lot more difficult to use because when you run a for loop, let me show an example. So for I in 1 to 10, print I. This is a very simple for loop. It says for the index I in the numbers 1 to 10, do this. So what happens is the first time this loop runs, it will say, okay, I will take on the first value, that's 1. So it'll print a 1. Then it's finished. Then it goes to the second one, which will be a 2, and it will print the number 2. So if I run this, it will run for 10 times and print the current number. And you can do all kinds of things with this. For example, if I say, print I times 3, then I will have this. Or I can say, cat, which is talk, basically. The current number is I. Yeah, current number is 1, current number is 2, current number is 3. Okay, there are no enters here, so you could upgrade it a little bit by adding a enter. Don't have to know this, but this is how you could do it. So that's basically what a for loop is. It's a way to cycle through elements. This is really useful when you want to do something a lot. So in this case, we want to read a bunch of data sets. And instead of writing all their names all the time and writing number 1, number 2, number 3, all the way up to 1,000, it's way easier to just say, read data set and then somehow tell it that it's data set number 1, number 2, number 3. And you can have the loop run as long as you want to do whatever you want. So that's the 2 assignments of today. Let me show you the swirl chapters. So if they're too difficult, first off, if you haven't yet, I recommend finishing the swirl chapters from the previous day. So they're on the first page over here, where I explain how to install Swirl and install RStudio for that matter, these. So if so far you found this all really easy, you don't have to do Swirl. If you think R is not so easy, then Swirl is just a really good way to get used to the syntax, so I really encourage you to finish this. If you've already done that, then you can do a different Swirl chapter. Oh, I have to load it first. Swirl, okay, whatever, dodo. Yeah, continue. Okay, so this is all explained in the video on Swirl. From the R programming course, there is chapter 9 on functions and then there's chapters 10 and 11 on how to use the apply functions. So the one number 9 you will need for the first challenge, and 10 and 11 you will need if you want to speed it up, but again that's a challenge within the challenge. I think that one is maybe a bit too difficult. Yeah, so I recommend you do swirl or you work on previous day's assignments, and if you really want a challenge, then you can have a stab at these 2 extra exercises. Let me see if there's any questions. I don't think so. Yeah, no questions online either. So yeah, this will be the last time we're online. So yeah, thank you for joining the R crash course, and good luck on the general research skills course.